get our own message across. Of course, it's difficult to explain to the electorate that we are in favour of moving into arrangements after an election on the basis of proportional representation, where you can get together after the electorate's had its say and you look at the parliament that the electorate have returned, and then you arrange a programme for government. We're in favour of that. But there's a world of difference between that sort of prospectus and trying to do deals with seats with other parties, because it confuses everybody's image of what we are about. And I think that we should put the whole packed agenda out the window, and we should go hard for proportional representation and say we want a parliament that represents Britain much more proportionally to the way that the votes are recorded in the ballot box, and stick at that and leave talk of pacts until after polling day results known.
It does rather look as though the miracle you need is Dr. Owen's return to medicine, doesn't it?
No, I don't think it is. I think Dr. Owen is drawing himself out of the picture very rapidly in any case, and I think he will be gone very shortly. The miracle we need, if you like, to really speed things on our way is the Labour Party to start believing in genuine democracy and handing power back to people. But they're not going to do that. They're tied to the trade unions. They're tied to the power of Neil Kinnock and the people around them and getting power for them. And so long as that's the case, there is a unique position for us on the British political spectrum that says we actually believe in democracy. We believe in giving power to people over their own lives. And that is the area we stake out our claim. And everything follows from it, whether it be the environment, whether it be defence, to defend those liberties, whether it be the economy and giving people power within their own jobs and industries and workplaces. But at the heart of us, we stand for something quite unique, which is a party that believes in people.
Isn't there something fraudulent in the claim that you want to run government and, as you put it, put people first? I mean, every party says that's what they want to do. Every party needs some sort of structure. You've got to run the economy, you've got to run the nationalised services, you've got to run the army and the defence. How can you claim to put people first in a way that the other parties don't?
I think you've heard that being debated this week by actually saying that the people who, if you like, claim the right to power should use that to give power back to people in their own communities. You don't have to take decisions over whether there should be a DIY centre on the edge of town in Whitehall. That should be for the community itself to decide. You don't have to take decisions about the hospital facilities there will be, or whether there will continue to be sewage in the sea, or whether you'll clean it up. In London and in Whitehall, you can take that in the communities that are directly affected. And if you have people in Parliament who believe in helping people take over their own lives, then I think you would see a transformation. And we are the only ones that offer it. That's why we talk about democratic reform. It's why we talk about bills of rights. It's why we talk about individual liberty.
Charles Kennedy, do you want to see Paddy Ashdown pulling back in the public image in favour of the team, as a lot of the members of Parliament have been suggesting should be the next step?
I think this is a bit of one of the non-stories running around this week.
It was Alan Beith who was sitting here yesterday who said he thought it ought to happen.
Yeah, well, I think it's a non-story because of this
Alan
reason.
Beith says it's a non-story.
Yeah, no, for this. I'll tell you why if you allow me to finish the sentence. For this reason, people talk about Paddy, who's been in position for a year, and we're highlighting him either not enough or too much, depending on one's point of view. Cast your mind back to Neil Kinnock, who had a 3-year run-up as leader of the Labour Party to the last election, and yet was essentially only discovered by a very broad section of the electorate during the election campaign itself. Remember the famous party political broadcast? They re-showed it, it was so popular. Kinnock coming to life in front of the public. It takes an awful long time to establish yourself, particularly when your principal opponent is a person of such easily identifiable political identity as Mrs. Thatcher, and who has been there for so long, going on for, what, 13, 14 years' time in the next election. Paddy should keep pumping himself very hard indeed, and it's not a question of having to...
Should consider what?
He should keep pumping himself forward very hard indeed, and it's not a matter of us, I think, having to wait to be asked to come forward. It's a matter of us getting in there in the House of Commons as well.
A lot of people would have liked to see you leader, and you wouldn't run.
I don't accept that. Anyway.
Would you have done it this way?
No, because I wouldn't have done it. I mean, to be a leader, you've got to have the capacity to lead and want to do it, and we've got one who can do both.
How do you plan to use him as his communications coordinator?
He's one of our best assets. I think that it is right that we're going to have to shoulder some more of the burden of the load in the party.
Because Cyril Smith's very keen to be seen. He said so.
As the leader, he wants to be the leader.
No, he wants to be seen around more with
Paddy
Ashdown.
Ashdown. I know.
Much room on the screen.
He and I are doing a series of rallies next spring, which are becoming known as the Little and Large Show. I think that what we have got to do in Parliament is give Paddy more opportunity in Parliament. I think he's taken too much of the load of doing work in the campaigning in the party and the grassroots. I think some of us have got to do that so that he can appear a bit more nationally. I think it was right for him to spend the last year doing that, but I think that you will see a difference and a change in the balance in the next 12 months.
Just very briefly, did the three of you look on the prospect of retiring without ever having held public office with equanimity? Charles?
No, I wouldn't look on that with equanimity at all. I mean,
Think you'll make it? Do you think you'll make it?
I don't know how long's a piece of string. I mean, the major objective at the moment for this party is to get it established and do as well as you can at the next election.
You've got more years than most, Matthew Taylor. What do you think?
Oh, we'll get there.
You think you'll hold ministerial office in your lifetime?
No, I don't know about that. It wouldn't be up to me, even if we were in the position to do that. What is the case is that nothing lasts forever, and the two-party system in this country, swapping round between the two of you, ain't going to last.
Very briefly, the red box one day or not?
I shall be a Secretary of State before I retire.
Thank you all very much, gentlemen. And on that cheerful note from the young, I hope you'll join us again tomorrow on BBC One for Paddy Ashdown's leadership speech, and we'll be back here with Conference Day on BBC Two tomorrow evening. Good night.
Alan Bell, 35 years a folk singer, 25 years a songwriter, tells us about the influences of Lancashire, the Fylde and the Fleetwood Fishermen on his life and songs. That's Alan Bell, the man and his music, tomorrow night at 7:30 here on BBC Two North West.
In EastEnders, over on BBC One in a moment, parental problems for Frank and Pat and a change of mood for Pauline. While here on Two in half an hour, this